time, and I don't really want to do that either.
Nice.
So, this is the case of Italy versus Portugal, for short. It is Anton is speaking first. You'll have each side will have 7 minutes to present their main point, and then they will have 3 minutes for rebuttal. At which point we'll take some time for deliberation and then issue our opinion. So,
welcome to court, chat.
Anton, you can begin.
We seem to be here
now.
more and more often.
Stop typing.
So, woman, eh?
Ugh. Okay, there we go.
What am I doing?
Go. You're arguing first.
If you could all look at a map of Indonesia.
Where is this?
Yes.
Is there a preferred map somewhere?
No,
And there's a bride map
In
your
the
brain.
brief. In the brief.
Hang on. Can I see the brief?
And there's a map.
Which brief?
Sardinian brief 2
Yep, I found
in
it.
exhibits. There is.
Hang on, I'm opening it now. Yep.
Alright.
Yep.
Very good.
March 19.
I'm
Very good.
so tired. Anyway, yeah, so Mr. Joe Bloomer Spectre has taken 2 lovely little counties, whatever they're called in provinces, whatever they're called in and he's like, so like, those are clearly in Indonesia. They should really be ceded given the treaty, which is also there. See, the lovely little
Yes,
treaty.
yes.
What was it? The Treaty of Barcelona.
Yes. Alright, so I have 2 questions.
Okay, yeah.
The first is let's say we agree with you that that this is Indonesia and he's wrong and whatever. Let's say that we agree with you. What would the appropriate remedy be? Because the treaty only says that he can't have that land.
Well,
So we just
it should
order
be,
him
it should
to-
either be released as a non-puppet, so I can conquer it at a later date, or it should just be
Okay.
handed over.
But could he not? If we just ordered him to comply with the treaty, could we not just order him to give it to literally anyone else, and that would then he would no longer be in violation of the treaty?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, I think he has previously broken the treaty, which clearly said he couldn't colonize there.
Well, yes, I know
The
know
intention of
that.
is so I can have that land because no other person would reasonably colonize Indonesia.
I feel I need to point out that I am taking half of Indonesia, but
I'd
not a lot of
also-
land. Not a
I'd
lot.
also like to say that I'm taking the Philippines, which are sort of adjacent to that.
Okay. Yes.
so-
No one else would take the Indonesian islands. Let's
Okay.
be clear here.
The
No one
second-
else would
the
take the
second-
Indonesian islands.
The second question, which is once again, if we agree with you, you say that you're owed at least 5 ducats in damages.
Yes. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. Okay.
I
I disagree. I
No,
disagree.
no,
No.
Okay, look,
No.
here's my argument, right? So, the nation that previously existed there occupied a trading hub, a trading, whatever it's called, like a main trading source, and they
Yes.
were unaffected by the great corruption, or whatever you
right,
want to call it.
right.
whatever you
Yes,
want to
this is
dub it.
on your brief.
Yes. So they would have had more. So they would have had those land cores, and they would have had it. One, they would have had the land cored. Second, they would have had the land at a lower autonomy, so it could have produced more goods, which then directly flow into my trade node.
Do they not still flow into your trade node?
Well, no, because they are now a higher autonomy, so less goods of it, less money and less trade power are being introduced. Less, like basically, less money is now in that trade node because they have been taken, say, and they now exist at a higher autonomy.
Can you prove that that's at least 5 ducats?
I can prove it's at least 1 ducat because that's the smallest amount that I can increase it by.
I have that about a fifth of the stated value. Can you provide substantiated evidence for 5 ducats worth of
Yes.
damage?
I mean, okay. 5 is basically a made-up number. We can say whatever it is if we agree with you. But I'm just saying, like, do you know that he hasn't cored that Portugal has not cored those provinces?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I'm fairly confident he has not, and they are definitely at a higher autonomy because I looked at this.
Are you like? But
Their autonomy is increased by at least 40%.
you still like produce a lot of trade in that region and in that.
Not really. If you actually look at the trade map mode for that specific region of Indonesia, my trade share is actually quite low because I do not hold many highly developed provinces.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
What's the meaning of low?
That's not a
No.
relevant question.
No.
42.
I have a relevant answer. I have a relevant answer to that, William. William's
You've got 2 minutes.
Okay, so chocolate digester.
All right. Also, so why is this the interpretation of Indonesian islands that we should adopt? Why is it what you say it is and not what Portugal says?
Well,
it is?
okay,
Hopefully
so
this is going to be Job's bit, but yeah.
Yes, I know, but it's still an argument he makes, so that's why.
Problem is I kind of already have an idea of what I think should happen in my head.
hey,
Yeah, we all do. Will.
So Indonesia, I can't use the modern map. Can I use the modern map of Indonesia? I don't think so.
anything that predates 1444.
Okay, well,
is
if you looked at
admissible.
my brief, if you read my brief, there is
did read your
quite
brief.
obvious. What is it called? Nusantara is the Indonesian archipelago in 1336, which was like a
Prior
Coin.
to the stage.
Yeah. So that was a nation which later became dubbed as Indonesia that held the island of Java, the island of Sumatra, those specific islands, and that was known as Nusantara. Nusantara,
Okay.
sorry. Which
Okay.
is very, and given those places are very culturally linked, and they are also both clearly islands, in my
Yes,
opinion.
that's
they're both islands.
I'm not really sure that's up for debate. I mean,
And also,
Joe can
if you look
address
at
it.
the main reason why I hold those islands is for trade. If you look at specifically the trade map mode, charter company trade map mode, they're part of the Indonesian charter.
Yes. All right. Your time is up. So we now have 7 minutes for the other one.
The other one.
Who's the other one?
So you can now take the stage.
Am I allowed to ask any other questions, or am I not allowed to do that?
You can ask.
Can I ask Leo one more question?
Yes, you can. All right.
Did you
Anton, come back up.
did you ever at any point specify that it was the trade yeah
No.
the map modes that he's inferring that he didn't know about, or did you like ever
No,
specify
I said
that it
Indonesian
was
islands, and
geographic?
in a meta contextual sense, I, as a person, think of Indonesia as modern day Indonesia.
Also,
Regardless
Yeah.
of how the game works, I think of modern day Indonesia. So when I
Also-
say Indonesian islands, I say
It's-
the islands
Okay.
Indonesia currently.
it's
holds.
worth noting as well that, just briefly, that he says he didn't know about the charter map mode, but in reality, we might as well be talking about the trade map mode as well, and he definitely did know about that. And the trade map mode is what the original treaty dealt with, as well.
What
The
is the
original
charter map
articles.
mode?
It's basically, it deals with like
Just a
colonial
trade map mode,
regions.
but for yeah,
It's
colonial
slightly different in North America, but in this context, it's virtually identical to the trade map mode. All right, that's it. Job, it's your time now.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. Okay. Is my mic working? Just check.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yep. Cool.
Your
Right.
time starts now.
Okay. So arguably, the region it is actually referring to is the region that is the region map mode and not the charters. The way
Or the
that
trade
they,
map mode.
but charters, isn't it? I'm not sure if it's exactly identical. I think that
It is.
is it actually I can't.
I think it's almost entirely for our purposes. It's identical.
Okay.
Whichever one it deals with, like if
Yeah.
that were what it's referring to. You
Yeah.
would lose.
But basically, the land that was given up in the treaty is the islands in Timor, and I'm not sure what the island above Timor is called, the big
Yes.
one. That is the land that was ceded, right? That is the only place I had land before. And the land that was ceded, I had no land in the region of Malaya other than that singular island that I'm allowed to keep.
Right.
So it was reasonable for me
But,
to.
okay, so just briefly, because you point out that you're allowed to keep Belitung, which is what that.
But
island
that's
is,
in Malaya.
which
that's
is
right.
in Malaya. So but that's specifically listed as an exception to the Indonesian islands clause.
Yeah.
So if that were, this is like one of my main questions for you.
Yeah.
If that were not part of the Indonesian islands as you define it, why would that clause exist?
Because
under your reading of the original clause,
Yeah.
you would just be allowed to own that anyway.
yeah, basically, I think what's happened is when Anton put the treaty together, he assumed he was referring to the Indonesian Charter.
Well,
But I assume, but for reference, I didn't even know that map mode existed
so you're saying
until
that,
brought up.
but
So
like, this is
I didn't
this
really
case,
think about that.
this case isn't like the previous case with Inre Reams where it was ages ago and we had no idea about any of the it was essentially most of the context was lost time. This was recent, and you specifically asked for that exception.
Yeah,
So at that time, you presumably thought that it was a part of Indonesia.
at that time I thought it was, but as I basically looked on the region's map mode at a later date when doing stuff, and I saw that it said that Indonesia defined as those islands, and I presumed that it was more reasonable to be those islands because of what I was given up in the treaty, which was like Timor and such.
Job, do you want to keep? Do you want to keep the islands? Is that what you want? Do you want to keep that land?
Which land? You gotta be specific.
The land that you've taken that you're not supposed to take, in theory.
Regnat and Siak.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a.
No. But like, do you think you should keep them?
I'll move on to point 3 then, if that's what we're. This
No,
is
you
a-
can't dodge the question.
No, I'm
You can't
answering the
dodge-
question because this is what my third
Okay,
point was
so
about.
This is the negligence. This is the negligence argument.
Yeah, basically,
Okay,
by not if Italy had specifically used a charter or region or whatever else to be specific with the land, this would be a non-issue. But because
So you're
because
saying that
Italy has
You're
acted.
saying that you're saying that any ambiguity is negligent. Then is what you're.
When
arguing.
in this case, yes, so using something that is not
But
a
what about in
explicitly
the general case?
what in
Like we had like in the previous case once again it dealt with Hispaniola. I don't know if that's a specific state, but it doesn't specify what it is. Now, arguably that's less contestable. We all know what Hispaniola is, but would it be negligent would it have been negligence on my part or Lucas' part when we were drafting that treaty to say that Hispaniola without some kind of qualifier is that be
was in
negligent?
CK3, right?
It was in CK3, yeah.
Which-
but Hispaniola only exists in EU4.
Yeah.
It does-
So within the context, that wasn't negligent because it didn't exist, and therefore the land itself, without going into U4, you couldn't actually check. But we all knew what you were on about.
Okay, so let's
Within the
say-
context of this, there's actual specific land regions that you could have named instead of leaking it up to interpretation of Indonesian islands.
Okay, so let's say as a hypothetical, let's say you'd fought some war in CK3.
Yeah.
And Anton had said prospectively, you're not allowed to be in the Indonesian islands.
Yeah.
Would that have been negligent? Like, what would be the verdict in that case?
Bearing in mind, I think because the court only set the precedent that we can't use real world examples on the last thing, didn't it? So
yeah.
so at the time when it happened in CK3, it would have been presumptuous to assume Indonesian islands as today. But because we have set up the court system now and such, and also there are because now there are specific naming conventions for stuff to refer to areas, that it should have been that. So by the nature of Italy acting negligible on what they were calling it, they have led to this discrepancy in what each of us would define as what we could take. Because with the charter, by the charter, I would be allowed to take, I'm not sure what the land is called, but the island that connects to Timor, because it's not in the Indonesian charter. Which is reasonable to assume that Anton would also, and Leah would also
Why
assume.
didn't you just ask before you took it?
Because
he assumes he's right.
yeah,
But,
Basically.
like when I colonized in Alaska, I'm like 100% sure that that is land that I can take, and if I like, you know,
Yeah,
I'm,
and
I'm,
that
I'm not I'm not just gonna like start colonizing randomly without
like California.
like California. Like, why would I do that? That would be just like, unless I was going behind his back on purpose, you know, which I will do, obviously. But
Naturally.
yeah. Okay, well, I had to
Right.
go behind his back to like bum him, but you know, sorry, yeah. But like, why didn't you just like ask? Yeah.
Because you don't think to ask things when you're dealing with stuff sometimes. You just assume you're right because that's how you assumed, that's what you think the only interpretation
But
of something
this
is.
This seems
It
no.
didn't-
I don't think this is the only interpretation because you clearly at one point thought that that land was in Indonesia. So it's clearly not
But-
the only interpretation. So this seems like a very technical maneuver to dodge what the treaty says, basically.
Again, it's
I have
just...
a question for both parties, primarily Job, concerning the easternmost of the 3 counties on what is considered the mainland bit of Indonesia. You see,
That's clearly excluded, I think.
yes, how
might-
there is 2 islands as part of that county. Consider that to be clearly excluded. Just both
Oh,
parties
what?
specify
The
that.
two-
Oh, those 2 tiny islands.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they part of? I don't.
They're
know.
part of the
Are they part
Malaysia,
of-
but they'd also be part of the Indonesian trade
No, but
node.
are they part of? Are they part of a larger? Are they part of like a mainland province? Because if so, then those are not. Those
They are
not
part of a mainland province.
Okay, then those are not counted. As the person who drafted, who actually wrote the treaty, those are not counted. I think that's your time.
Yeah.
So, Anton, if you'd like to take your 3 minutes of rebuttal time.
Okay, Job literally just said at the start he thought that was Indonesia.
Yes.
Those are the words that just came out of his mouth. At the start, when he started speaking, he thought that was Indonesia. Okay? Let's be
Yeah.
clear here. And then he changed his mind.
I also think it's worth noting that I'm pretty sure somewhere in the docket for Reams, because we're operating under common law, so that's still binding. It says, like, we should interpret the statute as it was like understood when written, or we should interpret the treaty as it was meant, like when it was written.
And also, again, even if you want to check these things, the original declaration of war, which I think Dennis mentioned a bit earlier, the
Yes,
original
I did.
declaration of war was for everything in those specific trade. It dealt with trade nodes,
Yes,
and then
I did mention that.
I genuinely don't know what I can say because it's just like that is Indonesia. That is an island. That is
You
an
can-
island in Indonesia. Just
you can
because you
forfeit your
look at
time.
one map mode and decide, and oh look, there's something else that's called Indonesia, and so you just decide to take it because you want to.
All right, that's
Yeah.
you can forfeit your time if you want.
Yeah, I'm good now.
All right, Job, you've got your 3 minutes of rebuttal.
As I said, it is at one point before we were in before we were in EU4. Yes, I might consider it Indonesia, but at the time the
No.
treaty was
You considered
written,
it.
I didn't consider it once you actually look at the map modes. If you want to be specific on these things, you have to pick the chart. You had to specify the charter map mode.
Don't make sense because you said that when the treaty was drafted, you did think it was Indonesia, but then when the treaty was drafted, once you looked at the regions map mode, you didn't.
No, in CK3 I would have considered it so before we had the law.
But then why did you ask for the Belitung exception?
Because
Why was that
you were
necessary?
taking land. You would have taken it.
No, but it's not an exception to us taking land, and it's an exception to the prohibition. It's an exception to the ban on colonizing the land in Indonesia, not on what we took
Because
in the war.
I generally didn't realise, I didn't check the map modes either before that point. I only checked them after the thing because I assumed it was referring to the map mode, and I assumed that Belitung would have been within the region of Indonesia, not.
All right, and then sort of a second question, which I didn't get asked the first time, which is with regards to the what's it called, Neutrasia or whatever, where Nusantra and sort of the related, because because there was an Indonesian state which did control that land, and that's admissible evidence. So what do you say about
I would
that?
say, if you look at the cultured map mode, which is arguably what that would be comparable to, right?
Yes.
The cultured map mode consists of that land, the other island, and like Timor as well.
Yeah, so the
Like,
culture map mode is fairly
the culture
a
map
large
mode
area.
covers a large area,
Yes.
but if Anton said where the culture was, that would have been alright. But
that can
putting,
change.
yeah,
So that's kind of
irrelevant. You would generally use either the region map mode or the charters because they're fixed for the entire
but
game.
we're not. But it doesn't say either of those things. So we're essentially interpreting it, and there
Yeah.
was an Indonesian nation
Which
that controlled that land.
Which great.
So
If you
you're
have
saying that's
and if you
not
have
relevant?
if you have knowledge of them being an Indonesian country back then fair enough. I didn't know one existed back then. Shock and horror. I don't do history. So that's the sort of thing where you'd have to go and do.
You're agreeing that that's dispositive with regards to interpreting the Indonesian island.
If you could use it as an interpretation, but the fact is you'd have to have enough knowledge of it pre-existing to like use it basically.
Okay, thank you. Now we retreat for like some time.
We're going to retreat to immediately advance in the opposite direction.
Yeah, to deliberate. All right, I'll create a group DM and call you two.
So, oh, hang on.
very happy about that.
Sorry.
All right. Job is here.
Sorry,
Will reads first, then me, then Matthew.
Okay. So firstly, on the question as to whether the land that was taken by Job is in Indonesia, in Indonesia, I would say that despite whether Job
Just say yes or no.
Oh, okay, it is. It clearly is. Just depending on whether he knew it or not, it is.
All right. I vote that on the question of whether or not that Siak and Rengat, wherever you say it, are within the Indonesian islands, I vote yes.
Although I do have sympathy for the plight, given I do not know the existence of the Chartered map mode, as a colonial power, Joe should be expected to understand the map modes requisite to his necessary style of gameplay, and so vote yes, they are part of Indonesia.
All right, now Will for the compensatory damages.
For the compensatory damages, I think that it caused such little loss of money, and it was so inconsequential, and it was also accidental. Therefore, I do not think any compensatory damages should be paid to Sardinia.
All right, for my take on this highly important question of modern society, I think that I don't agree with Will that it was accidental. Yeah, the money is like so irrelevant, and also Anton has not even proved that he lost that money. I vote no on
This
the
is fucking
question
bullshit.
on the question of
How much money do you make per turn? Tell me now. How much money do you make per turn?
30.
That's just
No.
not true.
Order.
Yes, I am clearly doing
Order.
like 170 worth of
Matthew.
damage to his sick army.
The negligible amount of monetary damage potentially caused to Anton is such that it's in no one's interests, or it's worth nothing to no one.
Just
This
5
amount of money, in addition to the fact that bringing this whole case necessarily takes up the time of the judges, and so should 5 gold be this negligible amount be fined of Job, a similar, if not larger, quantity should then be paid on to the judges as compensation for the taking of their time.
Hey,
So I
listen,
believe
you
if we require this 5 gold fine to be paid, an additional 5 gold fine amount will be then paid to the judges. Meaning it is
listen.
negligible.
You guys talked me out of filing a contempt charge to get us like 500 ducats. So that's on you.
I want my 1 3/4.
That's on you.
I mean that they have the counters have to be given away.
Yes, if you all look in the channel, I have a full opinion written out there, but the short bit of it is the long and short of it is summarized.
He wrote this just now, by the way. He didn't.
Yeah, this was completely written just now in the last 5 minutes.
Definitely.
This was written out completely in the last 5 minutes. There's no kangaroo court going on here.
No.
I definitely don't need to
What
quickly.
does kangaroo court mean? Do you say?
Well, okay, no,
Australians now?
The
See-
internet exists.
okay,
right?
it's not. It isn't a kangaroo court because we did follow like all of the normal procedures and everything, and we did have like a proper hearing, and everyone was afforded due process and stuff. It's just that this was so incredibly stupid and such a waste of everyone's time. That you're lucky. They talked me out of. I had to delete like a page-long section on why you should be ordered to pay 500 ducats for being in contempt of court for wasting all of our time.
I didn't sue here. Anton
No,
sued.
but you were given ample opportunity to correct a mistake you almost certainly knew was wrong.
In your opinion.
That's
in everyone's opinion.
yeah, this is a unanimous decision.
What's this written?
So if anyone is interested in reading my opinion, it's there.
I'm
So-
not doing it.
Lucas?
Okay, can I? Sorry.
Um,
Just for future, I'll bring this up now. It's a thing with when we're deliberating, you ask questions actively as
Yes.
people. I don't know future reference, but it might be better. It's rather than you ask questions as it's going on. if you let the person speak fully on what they want to do, because that is time, and then afterwards the judges ask questions after they've finished speaking.
See,
versus
that's how it does normally. Like if this were a real appellate court, that's how it would work. But because we don't really allocate that much time, we just sort of go, and because like if we did that, you just restate your entire brief, and we've already read it all. So,
fair
which is why we do. Also, I just like to clarify an evidentiary point. So, because I realized this now when I was looking back, the evidentiary order in this case said that you could anything that happened in the CK3 boundaries had to occur before 867 for real life things to be brought in, and for EU anything that happened outside of it had to occur before 1444.
Yeah.
But we used in the prior case we used evidence was admitted for something that happened in CK3 simply because it happened prior to the current date. So I don't know how that's being reconciled, but
it's not. That boat has long since flown, Dennis. We're like done with that one.
Yeah, we've not done it now. I don't know. I'm sure we'll find some way to reconcile it if we ever need.
Luma, do you own Malacca?
What do you mean Malacca?
5 counties currently, now 3 counties.
The county, Malacca.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's County Malacca.
I think
There
so.
is.
Let me check.
I think that's the main one you wanted.
The main reason of the initial agreement for you to still keep land in Indonesia was because of a few missions that you actually have for owning stuff in Indonesia, but it only requires you to own specifically Malacca.
Yeah, but then I have to have the majority trade power in it as well for the other mission.
Yeah,
Okay,
fair enough.
this is now concluded. This whole thing was an epic waste of everyone's time.
But actually, wait. So he's not allowed to conquer or colonize in Indonesia, but is he allowed to vassalize?
No.
We
discussed this
literally
no.
just asked that. Vassalization is included with otherwise controlling.
All right. Okay.
It's exerting some control. So no, he's not allowed to vassalize anyone in Indonesia.
The question arises
This is
if
this is like can the court clarify what the meaning of the Baltic Sea is?
Clarify. At what point does the Baltic Sea end?
Well, when the Baltic Sea ends.
Where the words
walked along the border.
Sea, where the words Baltic Sea conclude.
So, Lucas,
Oh, yeah,
we have walked along a different border to the Baltic Sea.
Wait,
So I
is
understand where
everyone?
you're coming from.
Wait, is everyone here?
Actually,
No, not everyone's
No.
here, and
Who
we're
we
not,
missed?
Not
playing
doing
now.
mega campaign.
We're not doing mega campaign.
No.
We convene this for a
I'm just going
brief
like
period.
evening, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we convene this for a brief period.
So, I need to talk to Lucas about Anton for a few secs. So, guys, you know what?
No, sorry, I was just talking about one. So, kind of.
You know that evening meeting you got on Friday? Apparently, I'm going to that too.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
question. Do I have to forfeit it, or can I just grant it independence?
You have to fulfill.
That's included. No.
Sorry, I'm just checking because what will happen? Because
No,
what?
it just has to be given. You can grant it independence.
Okay, that's fine.
It just has to be owned by some nation that is Indonesian, that
Joe,
exists
can
within
you just give it to me,
Indonesia.
please?
That is a valid option,
Joe, can you just give it to me? Can you stop being a little bitch? Actually.
but you are allowed. Officially, you are allowed to release it.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm just checking before I release it, and then it's this again.
No, we're not doing this again. Releasing it is
Joe, can you
permitted.
just give
Okay.
it? Can you just give it to me? Can you
No,
just give it?
because-
Joe?
Do you really think that's likely to
There is
happen?
no reason to not just give it to me, except to be a bitch.
There's no reason to take the land in the first place except for that purpose.
So, Anton, how would you like to me to refer to you in front of parents, family, friends, etc.?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Okay, Leah. Okay, and is that shown on Discord as well? Just Leah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to declare one, Job. Then
I didn't listen to anything
he's
what
being a
was
bitch.
said. Alright, can you repeat that?
Job is being a little bitch. That's
You're not
it.
declaring war on him because he's
No,
releasing it.
I'm declaring war on him because he's being a little bitch.
Okay, but not yet.
Well,
Wait for me.
No,
Wait for me to move
no.
my navies into
No,
position.
no.
Iluma is here, right?
Yes.
What? No, this is not happening.
What do you mean this is not? Job is literally doing things only to piss me off. He's getting declared war on.
Yeah,
He could give the land to me. Just saying.
Hold on. Hold on.
Hey, Will, we need a judge's verdict here on whether Matthew can take the land or not.
No, sorry. You can't give it to me. You can give it to you to hire.
You can only
And then
give
I
it
can
to
conquer it from there.
nation, 'cause the whole point, right, is that you
Yeah,
colonized
yeah.
land. You were not meant to take it in the first place. You should have never been
Yeah.
there in the
You
first place.
should never have been there to give it to someone else.
But you could give it to you to hire under the terms because they are in Indonesia. Technically.
They are.
The trade charter.
Guys, just say, Luma, I want you to focus on going to the international colonizing zone in China, and then do your mission with Japan. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, they're like 2 provinces into the Indonesian charter. Oh, that's such a scam.
Where?
Ayutthaya. They're like a.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah.
They're
I'm
bare.
just gonna declare on. I have to declare on them anyway. So it's fine.
Oh, you?
I'm gonna
Why
declare on
declare war now?
anyway. Like at this point, if Job does something dumb, he's getting declared war on. Like I don't give a shit.
This
That's
is such a
See, look,
waste of all
Why
of
exactly
our
declare war on you to hire? Because currently all of their land is mine.
Well, yeah, but
Karen.
if Job gives it to them, I'm gonna have to declare war on them, aren't I? Job
I'm
being a
not
little
going
bitch.
to like.
This
Job
is
is losing
such
all of
a-
his African land soon. Okay, goodbye.
All of African land.
This is such an epic waste of our time.
Does everyone want to do the thing today then?
What thing?
Okay.
No, we can't.
No.
Ugh.
We'll just do in court.
What time can we even do
Goodbye,
tomorrow?
everyone. This
Okay,
was
see
not
ya.
fun.
Wait, guys. What time
Yeah.
tomorrow can you guys do it? Because as me, Matthew, and Leah said,
Alright. Oh shit! I've just realised I might not be able to. Yeah.
but not in the evening.
No, I
It'd be
can't
like
do it.
afternoonish.
That's all.
I might not be able to do it. So.
You had the whole week to think about that.
No.
Well, he
I
was
guess-
in Berlin.
I forgot.
Okay.
I can't.